Okay, let's do some part files for the pegboard toy for our presentation. Looking at what we have so far, we've got our title slide, we've got our pegboard base assembly with the 3 pegs and the 2 ends, and we got our mallet assembly. So what we need to start doing now is adding our individual parts in as working drawings. The reason we're not adding a bunch of dimensions in our assembly drawings is because we're going to be adding those dimensions in our working drawings for our parts. That way things do not get too clouded up on our blueprints. So let's go to Inventor and let's start with our pegboard base. And when I'm looking for pegboard base, I do not want to use my pegboard base assembly. So I'm trying to find it. I should have had it opened already, but that's okay. I got a ton of parts in here, and I'll find it here sooner or later. Okay, so I got my pegboard base here. It was kind of buried in my other files. I want to check on my view orientation. I have that set up as my front view, which is great. That is exactly the front view I want. Now, if yours is different, let's say this is set up as your front view, and you want to make sure that you have this one selected. Here, let me change it just a minute to show you what I'm talking about. Let's say this is our top view, which in our assembly, it could end up as the top view, which it does. And what happens then is if I go over here in our assembly, this is our front view, but we want this different for the part. So I'm going to go back to here, and I want to make sure that this is set as front. So one thing about this part, when we created it, we did not dimension where these holes were going to go. That was not in the document that Project Lead the Way gave us. And so they do look like they're off a little bit, but that's not a requirement, so we're not going to worry about it, and we're not going to dimension their location, but we are going to dimension their size. So let's get this set up as a working drawing. We're going to go New, Standard IDW, and Create. Waiting for that working drawing to open. We're going to go to Sheet, right-click on Sheet, and we're going to edit that to a sheet size A. Changes that a little bit. Now we're going to project our base view. Remember the other day I talked about the base view being our front view, and that's why we changed or verified our orientation just now in our part file. So we're going to go base, then we're going to hover over, and that looks too big. So let's get our dialog box over here. It says a scale of 1 to 1. I'm going to try the 1/2 scale. Now in our assemblies, which were much bigger, I did the 1/4 scale. But when using scales, it's a good idea to use the biggest scale you can so that you're using up that drawing area. So I'm going to project my base view, which is going to be my front view. Here's my top view. Here's my side view. Over here's my isometric, my pictorial that shows length, width, and height, like a picture all in one drawing. So I'll click that in. Then I will right click and create. Many people miss that last part where we go right click, create. So what's kind of cool here is we have some different line styles. You can see we have some hidden lines that show features not visible in a current view. They're fairly predominant in the side view, and there's several of them in the top view, and they're all based upon our circle hole, our triangle hole, and our square hole. We're going to annotate with dimensions. We're not going to annotate everything. The things that we didn't constrain with dimensions earlier, we will not annotate with dimensions. So we're going to start off. Let's select dimension. And let's go between the views. Now if we look at this as height of 3 inches, then we also want to locate where those holes are going to be. So I can drag over 1. Okay. I can drag over that again Okay. Getting kind of crowded there. Now, if I went and did this dimension, this would be an improper drawing, because what I've done here is I repeated a dimension. And so this does not look good. This tells me it's 3 high here, and it tells me it's 3 high there. So I need to get rid of something. I can either get rid of one of my 1-inch dimensions, or I can get rid of my 3-inch dimension. Now, using the 3, I end up placing some measurements between the views, or some additional measurements between the views. I think if I can, if possible, make 1 column of measurements, that would be cleaner. So let's back this up and do this again. So I'm going to skip that 3-inch one, and I'm just going to go with those consecutive 1-inch ones. So I have a nice column of measurements. So 1 inch there. Okay. We're going to do 1 inch here. Okay. And we'll do another one up here for the top. That looks pretty darn good. Now, we can do our thickness. We got 2 choices. We can do thickness here as 0.75, or we can do thickness here as 0.75. We have to choose one or the other. It actually doesn't matter which one you use, but you cannot use both because that will repeat a dimension. So let's back out of that and decide which one we want to use. I think I'm going to use the one above the right side view. However, either choice would be correct. So I'm going to put that one up there. Alright, now we need to do length. We do have all these hidden lines here, but if you remember from our document, it doesn't tell us where to locate these. We eyeballed them, and it's obvious in my example here because they're not really lined up. But the only thing I need to show at this point is overall length, because that was the only thing that was given to us in the Word document. So there I have overall length, overall width, and overall height. I'm going to go ahead and save this. So we're doing pegboard IDW. That's just great. Do I want to replace it because I've already done this? Yes. Yes to all, and OK. Alright, let's grab our snipping tool from our start menu. Let's go to our corner. Carefully drag in that box. Edit. Copy. Then we'll go over to our PowerPoint. After our third slide here, we're going to go New Slide Blank. Control V, our shortcut for paste. Let's maximize this so you can see it better. And we're going to stretch to fit so that it looks good. So we've done, what we've actually done here is our first part. We've done our 2 main assemblies. We've done our 3D graphic. Here's our first part. So I'll go File, Save. So if we wanted to go to slideshow, I know it gets cut off a little bit because of my recording tool. But here's our title slide with our graphic. Here's our main assembly with the pegs. Here's our next assembly with the mallet. Here's our first part, the pegboard base. So I'll X out of that. Just drag that up there so you can see everything. And that's a good point you should be at for today. So, hopefully you're getting this figured out. Obviously, the next step to do is to figure out the working drawings for your individual parts. The one that's really going to have some dimensions on it is going to be that mallet head. That mallet head has several features on it that we'll see dimensioned, and we'll do that at a later time. So I hope you have good luck with this activity.